Hey, so I thought I'd take a second and just give you that close up I promised because I realized that these guided notes, when I was showing you um, through the video I just recently did, that everything was kind of backwards. And so I wanted to give you that close up. So these are spiral bound by a printer. And so this is be the cover, U.S. history, pre-Columbian to Civil War. And then the very first thing I put in is their course schedule right here, which is every unit that we cover, the important terms and the themes that they need to answer. And so, as I mentioned before, I tell my students this is their study guide, that they can refer back to this for any test that we are doing all semester long. They get a new book, by the way, every semester. Part of that is because they're thick, and part of that is because they get pretty torn up by the end. So you see I have all of this laid right out here for them. So I never actually have to devise a separate study guide because it's all here. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the unit view. I mentioned in a previous video that this year I'm giving the students bigger reflection questions that really get to the heart of what we're studying. And so the big unit question for Unit 1, I do have scripture. I teach at a Christian school, but my big question is, how should we treat those with whom we religiously differ? This is a question that is applicable to us today, and we can use the history about the conquest and colonization of the New World to really attack that question and debate that question. So I have a reflection page there, and so we'll open the unit with that. And then they see for each lecture, they will see here, once again, the IDs are listed and the themes. And you'll notice they're spread out a little bit more. This is so the students can actually use this page as a working study guide. They can go back to it, take notes on it, fill it out if they want to. So that's there for them. I've put maps into these notes, so I'm going to have the students work on that in class to label the different pieces, and they can refer back to that. And then, so I have my PowerPoint right here. So you'll see this is when they come to class, they'll see this opening page. They'll see the big themes. And then we open with a pairs discussion. So built into my notes, I have pairs discussions, I have small group collaborations, and these are times when I stop talking and they join together, and then we come back and talk about it. So I've built that not only into my PowerPoint, but it's also into the notes. And then what you'll notice is my notes, this is what I love about them, they're not fill in the blank. There's a few blanks, but for the most part, they are not fill in the blank. Instead, you'll see that my presentation uses pictures and things like that, and I'm trying to teach them how to take lecture notes. And so right here, I talk about what motivated traders in the 15th century to seek new routes to India and China. They know that there are two things, and they have to look for it. Most of the students, if you were to talk about this, would say traders in the 15th century sought new routes to India and China, and they would leave it at that because they like to focus on the what. And so I'm trying to get them to focus on the why and the how. And so as you see, just continue going. I have a true or false section. We play that little game in class, and it's written in there so they can always refer back to that. Early African slavery. Let me see. If I go down my PowerPoint, there's the true false. There's slavery in Africa. So some slides they could directly copy over, but I always tell them what I put on my slides is not the only thing you have to know. It's usually just the nutshell, and everything I say is applicable. So this just gives you an idea of, like, who was Christopher Columbus? Gosh, when we get to him, I've got a picture. There's the true or false. Where did Columbus arrive? What happened in 1493? And you can see that they're not going to get those answers just by looking at the presentation. They're going to have to listen and to think, but they're also discerning what is significant. So here, how did Columbus's discovery affect America? And down here, what was the significance of the Columbian Exchange? Why did this happen to the Taino Indians? So I'm trying to train my students through these notes to listen for what I'm saying, and not just to pull out the what, but to pull out the significance, the why, so that by the time they get to college, that they will be fully prepared to walk into a lecture hall where that person might not have a PowerPoint. They might not have text writing notes that kids can just copy down, but they're having to listen and to think. By the end of the year, the notes look even more sparse than that. Oh, here's a small group collaboration. So the notes look even more sparse than that, but it's really just so that they can get training in how to take these notes. If we keep going, you'll see this is a secondary source reading that I put in here in the book with some questions for them and an activity to do. There's primary sources in the book that they're going to have to annotate. And so I fill these books with everything. I love them. The students love them because they really feel equipped to do well. And for those who struggle, they know where their weaknesses are, and we're able to figure out how I can help them.